of all the games that we played during that Sega Saturn month, we didn't play Sonic R, which is a pretty notable example. And this is a fairly, more or less fairly recognizable title amongst the Sonic fan base. I mean, not as popular as other Sonic games, of course, but in Sonic racing games or like optional soundtrack options in like Sonic Generations, like you can pick the song "Everybody Super Sonic Racing." Yeah. So make that as you will. Anyway, wow.
Yeah, so Sonic Arnett, funnily enough, made by the same company that actually made the game that we previously played, Toy Story 2.
The Traveler's Tales.
Yeah.
They really were into their toys and games. All washed up in the ocean. Alright, pressing the start button. Oddly enough, Amy is not in the main cover of the game, even though she's one of the default characters, but hey-ho. Supersonic racing, you have feet right on the ground. In your supersonic racing, there's no time to look around. Right, bring. Right, so there's 2-player option here. Okay, load data. Oh, this is your first time loading this up.
Yeah.
Oh man. Right.
Well, I mean, it did sort of play it a wee bit to sort of try it out.
Bling! 2-player, right. Sonic and Knuckles are having a very intense staring contest, head to head, it's like a New Zealand greeting if they were having a staring contest, like, I'm with you, brother. Yes, I'm with you, brother. Okay, there's no doubt it's going to do a little demo because I did. Oh, it's going back to that actually. Bring. Okay, it's because I was indecisive, you see. Bling, bling. Option. Bling. Bring. Normal. Get 5 balloons. Alright. Get 5 balloons. Huh. That's not an everyday occurrence in these kind of games. I mean, the closest you get to that would be like the balloon battles in Mario Kart games. But obviously, what's unique about Sonic R is that this is an on-foot, well, almost entirely on-foot game because some of the characters use vehicles to race around.
Well, you'd be sort of surprised about the actual layout, the tracks and that. Once you start playing that, how flexible the actual tracks are in that.
Like, yeah, I heard they're like shortcuts and the like.
Yeah. So like, I think the Sonic Net, well, he's sort of fast as well. I mean, but Tails
has good acceleration.
Tails has the ability to fly in that.
Yep.
Knuckles has the ability to glide, and Amy's quite interested in that because her car in that can actually sort of transfer sort of terrain much more easily. And she can even sort of float on water.
Right.
So unfortunately, the only problem is that she's the slowest.
Of course, right. I was reading this interesting instruction booklet earlier, and it described these characters' abilities, like Sonic being the fastest, but at greater risk of not quite making the corners correctly. Tails is not fast, but he can accelerate and turn corners well. He can jump and jump and grip are fairly good too. Oh, so there's a grip ability. That's interesting. And Knuckles is the most well balanced, and Amy has a car. And then, literally in the instruction book for Dr. Robotnik, it says, "Boom! Hiss! Dr. R is back with his new mean machine."
Not the bean machine.
There is a game called Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Yeah. It says mean machine, but yeah, he has a bean machine as well. Right, now which character to pick before the game considers us indecisive once more?
Yeah, it doesn't respect Diddle Dolly in it.
Look at Tails' derpy face.
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's one of the first sort of 3D Sonic games.
Yeah. Can you actually pick the same character to play as, or not?
No.
Alright. Okay, I'm thinking either Knuckles or Sonic on my end. Why don't you pick a character first? I don't mind if you pick Sonic. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pick Knuckles.
I'll pick Sonic.
And then like Sonic, he doesn't chuckle.
God flex his muscles. Radical City. Now that's interesting. There's a place called Radical City. Before Radical Highway was a thing in Sonic Adventure 2. Now that's very interesting. Right, let's keep things simple. Resort Island. Here we go. Huh, there's only 5 tracks in the game. Interesting.
Well, that's the thing that like it's. I'd say it's sort of similar to sort of Sega Rally in that even though there's not that much variety in track layouts and characters and that, like the longevity of the game and that is the actually replay value of the game itself.
Alright. Alright, whoa.
Yeah, I think the shoulder buttons and that sort of help you sort of kind of drift, I suppose.
Alright. Oh, okay, so it's the shortcuts that require a certain number of rings. So free, so alive. Whoa.
Yeah, it's best to stay at the water and that, unless you're Amy. That's,
what's this token thingy, my bobber? Can you feel the sunshine? Does it brighten up your day? Don't you feel that sometimes you just need to run away? Yes, as a Sonic fan, I'm very much familiar with the music.
Yeah, I believe it was actually a sort of a British musician that sang the song.
British musician, really?
Yeah, well, the studio itself and that is actually British, Traverse Tales.
Oh, right. An interesting music genre for Sonic. He's usually like electric rock and roll. It's not usually he gets like soul R&B kind of vibes.
Yeah, in fact, I think she still sort of performs to this day in that.
Really?
And I think she actually did do a recent sort of concert in that where she actually sang all the songs in that from Sonic R.
Sweet. Whee!
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think that's kind of thing that's kind of sort of like now sort of been kind of like her legacy now in that.
Right.
Well, I'm pretty sure she has done like other songs outside of Sonic R.
Hello. Whoa. Shortcut.
But the other interesting thing about this game in particular in that is that it actually sort of like dispels like a common sort of like idea in that of Sega Saturn games in that they can't do transparency. Because like you may notice in that, like, you know, like in some games in that whenever it's like depicting things which is see-through in that, it's more often like you get like a kind of like a meshy effect.
Right.
You know, or kind of like but the game actually sort of dispels that and that, but actually have an actual background in that actually sort of like appear in effect, because like you notice that how when the environments were appearing that it was kind of like a gradual kind of like a fog effect.
Yeah, the transparency. That is a very interesting observation.
Apparently there was like a quite a sort of a sort of strange sort of workaround in that where they basically just added on where like to have the effect in that of like the environments and that like appearing like that was like using like multiple different like sort of versions of the environment and that sort of gradually appear in that every time you sort of like move forwards.
And certainly the transparency thing is certainly a lot better than nothing, something, nothing, something.
So it's like, yeah, because like I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like it's with Sega Saturn and that like the main problem with like how it actually works in that is that there was actually two different functions to the Sega Saturn in that. Like one side in that like handled like sort of 2D environments and so on and that, and the other side did 3D and that.
Right.
The problem was is that like both of them didn't actually sort of gel well together and that. Like I'm like imagine like if you were still at college and that, and someone gave you like a notebook and that based on like geography, and the other one on a completely different subject, and told you that all right, you have to study both of these at the same time and that for a certain amount of period. Judging from experience.
Yeah. Man alive, what a story. What a story, Mark.
Yeah, needless to say, yeah, it's it's one of those things that if you knew what you were doing with the Sega Saturn, you could get like really good results in that. But if you weren't, because like that's why like games that came out both on the Sega Saturn and PlayStation didn't look quite as good graphically on the Sega Saturn, because it's just the format that sort of uses in that just isn't really as compatible on that as the Sony PlayStation was.
Alright, fair enough. Alright, let's try another character. Whichever one you want to have. Okay, you're gonna try Amy. I might as well try out Nucleus. Right, so Radical City. Might as well take your car out for a ride.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's funny how because like clearly, because obviously this was like Amy before Sonic Adventure and that, so you could tell that they're really struggling to figure out like how she would be able to compete with the rest of these characters.
Yeah.
Even though she was just literally a damsel in distress at this point, and it's just like, how about we just give her a car?
I mean, the car has its perks, so as you mentioned, it can hover over certain environments. So hey, I mean, the car's got to work for something. Oh, go. You have to survive. For all humanity, Maria, I promise you, revenge. The entire area is one big grater. Oh. Ah, darn, missed a shortcut. Movement is a wee bit stiff in this game.
Yeah.
But no, okay, not a wee bit, very stiff. I mean, you can go really fast, but the actual movement is like...
Yeah. It's definitely sort of like... one to sort of like try and master.
Yeah. I suppose it's like they've applied the mentality of a driving simulator, but on foot somehow. I suppose it's like if they were making a driving simulator for the tank controls of a Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
How fast can you run through this area? It's Jill Valentine, it's Chris Redfield.
Yeah, I do kind of feel like this game does get a lot of sort of slack in that, and I think it's mostly due to the fact that this was really the only proper like Sonic game to come out on the Sega Saturn. Even though in reality, in that if we had a Sonic game on the Sega Saturn, this would really be like should have been like, you know, like the third or fourth Sonic game in that to come out on the Sega Saturn, and would have been considered, you know, rightly as a sort of spin-off.
Right. So what were the other games, Sonic games, intended to be released for the Sega Saturn?
Well, one was like a straight up port of a Mega Drive game, Sonic Jam, I believe.
Right.
And
right.
And the other was just literally just a straight up compilation of all the recent sort of Sonic games that came out on the Mega Drive.
Right. Well, compilation games.
Well, with the exception that you get like a fancy 3D sort of like environment for Sonic to sort of run around in, and that, which is basically just a glorified menu.
Right. How do I climb walls?
Like people always sort of say about how it was like Sonic has the Sonic that we should have had in that, or like a wee glimpse of what we could have had in that, if essentially everyone that was involved in the Sonic team they managed to sort of get everything in place. Did you know that Sonic Extreme, that the game that was planned on coming out on the Sega Saturn, that like one of the people working on that nearly died in that making the game?
What? How?
Yeah. They're sort of working on so hard and trying on making the game, and that at one point that he went to the doctors and the doctors straight up just told him that, you know, if you keep continuing this, you only have 2 weeks to live.
Holy moly, workaholic stuff, man alive.
So needless to say that, you know, development of Sonic, of like making a Sonic game on the Sega Saturn, and that was definitely without its sort of pratfalls in that.
Man alive, people nearly died to make games like this.
Well, not Sonic R, but yeah.
Man alive. Alright, who to take a spin with next, and where to do it. Dun, dun, ding, bling, bling. I noticed that one of the shortcuts I seemingly took as Knuckles, unless I took it wrongly, seemed to take me right back to a previous bit in the track. I'm not sure that's how shortcuts in racing are supposed to work.
Yeah, it's like it is like I think it is a game that sort of benefits with, like, you know, actually actually getting a feel and the layout of like the tracks sort of first of all, like what would you say, sort of a replay value.
Right, yes. I think you can definitely see that this has a few outdated mechanics, but still, not without some of its innate Sonic themed charm. Regal Ruin, might as well try this one next. I mean, this is still quite a creative premise, having a race on foot. You don't see many Sonic games where they actually race on foot. I suppose these days, like, you had like the apps, like there was a Sonic Run, which is kind of like a Temple Run spin-off, and then they made a sequel to that, kind of based on Sonic Force, and you could play as like multiple characters like Blaze and Sonic and Shadow and Metal Sonic and Tails and Knuckles and a whole myriad of characters.
Yeah, didn't they sort of release like some sort of like on foot racing games on the DS?
Oh yeah, there was like Sonic Rush, and in the multiplayer competitive mode, we're both underwater.
Well, I think that one was like 2D, wasn't it?
Yes, that was 2D, yes.
Well, side-scrolling.
Yeah, you could either play as Sonic or Blaze, depending on who's getting depending on which character you want to pick, I guess. Whoa. Hello.
You can, I feel like with this track in particular, you can really get sort of turned around in that.
Turn around. Every now and then I get lost in the track full of ruins in this game. Turn around. Every now and then I get a shortcut that takes me right back to where the start line is. Turn around. Sploosh. Oh, bumper. Yeah. Up. Boing.
Oh, bummer.
Whee! Why did the speed things take away your ring count?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh, shield. Nice. Oh, magnet shield. Cool.
Yeah. Admittedly, the first time sort of trying this and that, I was mostly just trying out the sort of the time trials and that, which strangely enough and that actually gets rid of rings and that for some reason. So like the only So you're not even able to use like the sort of the shortcuts that to open up using rings and that.
Right.
It's a bit odd.
Yeah. Apparently in this game you're meant to open these shortcuts, which gets you access to the Chaos Emeralds, and you're meant to get the game, complete the races in first place in order to, unlock the supersonic form in order to complete the game. Look at Knuckles! All the single ladies, all the single ladies. If you like it, then shoot a put a fist on it. Right. Alright, there's one more track and then there's another one that we have to unlock via the Grand Prix mode, no doubt. Not to mention a whole myriad of other characters, not just unlocking Robotnik, but also Metal Sonic, some other character, and the creepypasta character Tails Doll. Right, haven't tried out Amy yet. Right, Reactive Factory. Interesting name.
Yeah, actually sort of wondering that, like, wonder what sort of like post Sonic Adventure sort of Amy that would sort of like play like in that, and like a modern interpretation of this, because she's mostly just known for having her sort of big hammer and that.
Yeah, she has a Pico hammer, so I would imagine, I suppose she plays similarly to the multiplayer mode in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, where she's fairly slow, but she more than makes up for that with easier access to special attacks, which you collect by collecting a certain amount of rings.
Maybe sort of like have it that, or like sort of like her hammer and that is also kind of like acts like a rocket, and she can sort of like she can use the boost in that, where she just literally sits on her hammer and that acts like a rocket.
Oh, I think our friend is here.
Right.
Welcome to the madness.
Hang 10, folks.
Right, brief reprise over. Right, and continue on.
Press start.
What the heck?
Oh, it's me.
Oh yeah, because you're the one who paused the... What the heck? Huh, that's interesting. I can either press for... Aha! Hi! Hi! Where are we going? Where are you going? No, wait.
It's funny how Sonic seems to manage to sort of hold his breath in that, seemingly infinitely in that.
The same with the other characters.
And somehow forgot to sort of keep that ability in that for the future games.
It's the same reason why he can conveniently somewhat swim in the Super Smash Bros. Game, but then ditch that for like Sonic Colors and the like. Although, with that said, the underwater segments in Sonic Colors are really fun, especially with the yellow wisp. No, wrong way. You know what's kind of weird and kind of sad?
What?
Amy in her car has a much more satisfying control system than all the other characters.
Well, I suppose that kind of makes sense since she's like technically the slowest.
Yeah. Right, so. Bam 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 bam. Anyway. Start, yeah. That's really... She had a transforming car long before Sonic Racing transformed. Or, well, no, the correct title is Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed, and then recently Sonic Racing Crossroads, yes. Sega must have been looking back on that and thought, what if? Are you kidding? Oh my days, it's so easy to get lost in this track. Oh, I saw it. Wait. Am I? No, I'm going the wrong way again.
I do have to admit, when playing this track and that as Knuckles, and that I actually found it actually really quite sort of satisfying, that like sort of reaching the sort of final lap and that when you got that big jump and you just like glide all over to the finish line.
Right, in which case I probably should have picked Knuckles instead, but then hey ho, I wanted to test out Amy anyway. And look at that. She can store the water for days. In fact, I think I might be leaving the map. Okay, there's certain borders, right? Who needs to be on the racetrack when you could just be on the... Wait, I'm going the wrong way again. Darn it! Oh my days.
Oh, there you are.
Hi! I still haven't made it to lap 1, by the way. There it is. She kind of looks like Snoopy. Obviously very limited in their character designs.
Sort of, I don't. You probably sort of heard about it before in that, but like when like the Sonic team were actually originally designing Amy,
right?
They weren't actually aware of like sort of references like how they should design like a female like Sonic character. So like basically they just sort of decided to design her in that based upon what these qualities of a female that they sort of like appreciated.
Alright.
So,
I mean, I had to start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's try out the balloon mode. Or maybe I should try the other tracks again to get a better grasp of them.
Yeah, maybe best idea.
Yeah! I've yet to play as Tails though, actually.
Go back to Knuckles again.
Alright. Should we try this one again just to get a better track record of where to go? Or should we do one of the other ones again? I suppose it wouldn't hurt to give this one another try. Give you the chance to glide to the finish line, yeah. Nice reflective graphics on that loading screen.
Yeah.
Shame you don't really see that anywhere during the actual races. I suppose it's just an excuse to show off the hardware, right?
I suppose so, yeah. Like, show its demonstrator to use the reflective surfaces.
Whoa. This way, I guess? Yeah. Whee! Whoa! Okay, so Tails definitely has a better sense of turning, but it's still a wee bit wonky. Hello. Move! This way! Shortcut, I think.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I discovered at the moment, that like when sort of playing this game, that is that like if you do end up falling in the water, that you start thinking that like, oh, is there a shortcut this way? No, I have to go back to the track again.
There we go. That reverse side can really put you off guard. I suppose you need to rely more on the map. Where? What the heck? What the heck? What was the point in this area? Ah, blub, 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 blub. Blub, 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 blub. This way. Did I just take a massive step backwards? Or maybe not, maybe not. Whee! Oh, hello. My days. Speed, speed, speed. Up, up, up.
Whoa. Oh, I think going another lap.
My days. Whoa. How fortunate of you. I suppose with the speed things.
Got a bonus here.
Oh, nice. I suppose with the speed things, they take away your rings, so the game is asking you, will you have speed at the expense of the rings needed to get to those Chaos Emeralds? I think that's what the intended design was, but that's not really a tradition in Sonic games. Usually they get you to keep the rings and keep the momentum. Oh, hello. Hello. Whee! So, 1, 2.
Oh, as soon as thing.
I think the speed things take away 50 rings, I've noticed. So that's an interesting observation. Well, that was quick.
Can you just quickly just check if your thing's still flashing blue?
Yep, it's still flashing blue. Right. Right, okay, now that we've gotten a better grip of the factory area, let's get a better grip of some other area. Alright. Yeah, we're playing as two of the best characters in the game. Right.
Let's pick Raccoon City.
Alright. Maybe it is the exact same city Shadow was skating around in Sonic Adventure 2. So do you know you have to survive?
I flew and still ended up in the water.
The perks of having a car. Boink. Interesting source of bumpers where there's no visible bumpers. Keep that dream alive. Ah, okay. Sometimes the game gives you the option, do you want more speed or the shortcut? I need to take advantage of that shortcut next time. And interesting how the rigs keep respawning.
You need to you need to sort of hold down the button and that in order to sort of like hover that.
Ah, right. Interesting, the boost seems to only work on dry land. Hey look, I'm in the Sonic pinball area. I may have made him steep. Nice little reference to Casino Highway. Oh. Oh yeah, I see with the game shortcuts. I see it, yeah. So, go this way. Yes. Good. Alright. Can you feel it? Interesting that the shortcut I took seemed to cost less rings, and I think might be a shortcut to the speedy area if you play it right. Especially if you have like the turbo boost of like Amy's car. To keep that dream alive. I now have 100 rings. Ah, darn, you still made it.
It almost looks like Amy's like bashing her head into driver's wheel and that, like just like stupid.
Tails and Amy have the same kind of derpy, snoopy design in this game.
Snooping as usual.
Snooping as usual, I see. Right, let's see. Maybe we should try the balloon mode next. 5 balloons.
Yeah, kind of missed a reference there in that to put in sort of 99 red balloons. do you get what?
Was that a reference to when we were playing Wipeout and there were too many options of...
No, there was like it's like a band in the 80s and that called 99 Red Balloons.
Oh, right, okay.
Or I think it was the name of the song in that.
All right. Now, something tells me the flying characters, Knuckles and Tails, will have the advantage on these kind of missions of finding 5 balloons. Because they've got more exploration options, especially Knuckles.
I mean, the only one way to find out.
I guess. Yeah, let's ditch the characters that with actual authentic exploration. Let's just pick the other characters. Right, let's try Resort Island, for example. Right. Well, you'll have the advantage over the water, no doubt. Right, 5 balloons. Now, this will be an interesting game to really test out your knowledge of the tracks and the shortcuts. If this is where I think it's going. Alright, 5 balloons. Oh, found one! Blub, 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 blub. Hello. No, you can't break through that, darn it. Right. No, kids, that is not meant to be an encouragement to take drugs.
Oh, here we go.
darn it! I think did I waste my speed? Way. Oh, there's another one. Turn back, turn around, turn around, turn around. Ah, you missed, you moron. Turn around carefully. Boom, got it. Blub, 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 blub. Oh, wait, think about it, think about it.
Why does this feel like something that your sort of parents would sort of like give you to do for like an activity during like a birthday party? Like, I don't know, like imagine like give like a bunch of kids some tacks and that and tells them to pop random balloons and that in the back garden.
Pop, pop, pop. Where is it? Where's the balloon? Where's the baboon? Oh, cool. Sonic kind of skidded in the water before falling in. It wouldn't be the shortcut, would it?
Well, I think the idea of like doing this and that is that you basically just get free rein of the sort of the track and that to sort of like find the balloons.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose there's nothing wrong with like just going along with the track.
Yeah, true.
So
can you feel it?
I feel like this is kind of like sort of really sort of like this game mode is really sort of exploiting the fact that you cannot, that the tracks and that are like sort of more open-ended than that compared to like like sort of Ridge Racer or Sega or like
true enough, yes.
Sega Rally.
If only Sonic was fast enough to run alongside the water. Oh, found one. Alright, one more. Who's gonna find it first?
So I hit some out of bounds.
That just sounds like a Mario power-up. Apparently, Sonic can do the spin dash attack if you press down on the D-pad. I don't think that's meant to speed him up. I think it's meant to be an attack to slow down enemies.
Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting with Mimi and that with using the E button that sort of gives her a bit of a boost.
That's right.
I sort of like to sort of imagine that like she's sort of like sort of pimped out her car and that like nitros. Like sort of imagine her like in like all sort of need her speed games and that and. And one more balloons. Oh, did I see one there? Ah, yes.
Oh no! Oh, you found it. Kudos to you. Kudos to you.
Yes, I'm the master at finding random blue balloons.
Right. What are you doing?